All right. But I still wish we had a smoother start.
So much for first impressions.
Here's hoping I'm better on the second.
Well, you're not bad so far.
Andy.
Hi.
Hi, you've played Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Yeah, I don't like to brag or anything, but I've played it for ages.
I haven't, viewer. So Andy, account for yourself.
Okay.
How is Dragon Age the Veilguard? Tell me.
I liked it a lot, but I think that, I mean, you're a Dragon Age fan of the old school.
Of the old school.
And I'm interested to find out what you think about it, because while I enjoyed it a lot, I'm quite a casual Dragon Age fan, but I feel like it might piss off long-time Dragon Age fans due to the stuff that they've changed. So let's talk about it.
Old paths, a new journey. Through there, I will wait.
Well, can't tell if that's a trap or not.
It's been 10 years since Dragon Age Inquisition. Did you know that?
I cannot believe that. If you'd said it's been 10 years since Dragon Age Origins, I'd have been like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds about right. No, 10 years since Inquisition.
That's absolutely wild. It's nearly as old as Outside Xbox itself.
I know. There've been cuts of BioWare. The game was originally called Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which I now know is Solus's nickname. Didn't know that before I played this.
The Dreadwolf himself.
He doesn't look like a Dreadwolf.
Well, he's soulless. He's tricksy. That's how he tricks you.
He's soulless. But yeah, he doesn't look like. He looks like, I don't know what he looks like, but he doesn't look like a Dreadwolf.
So
I think he needs to be hairier to be a Dreadwolf. Can you be a wolf if you have zero body hair?
You don't know what kind of body hair he's got going
underneath.
on.
Okay, he's like
They
Robin Williams
changed the
when he
name
takes his shirt
from
off.
Dreadwolf to the Veilguard.
They did,
because they wanted to change the focus away from Solus as like this kind of villain anti-hero.
Okay, well maybe they shouldn't start the game with him literally trying to open a portal that will destroy the world.
Onto your companion characters, who are also important, right?
Yeah,
together you are the Veilguard, guarding the veil between the worlds.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that this is an important one for BioWare, right? Because they had Mass Effect Andromeda, they had Anthem. They were both enormous flops. So they need
looking for a W.
They need a win here.
Okay.
So I feel like they've tried to make this the most accessible Dragon Age ever. Starting with, it's not open world anymore. What do you think of that? It's like instant reaction. It's not open world. Are you furious?
It's shocking to me.
Pissed. Oh, she's PO'd.
I don't know that I'm PO'd. You have to tell me more. In what way? Is it an on-rails shooter, or what are we talking about?
Yes, Jen, it's now an on-rails. It's House of the Dead. You get a little light gun and you shoot Solus.
Okay, obviously I do think of Dragon Age in terms of being like open world or a series of like open maps, you know, connected by an overworld sort of map or whatever. So tell me.
While it isn't completely open world, it is more in that vein. It's mission-based, but you can explore within the various regions. So it does feel expansive still, but I think if you're used to like a completely open world, you're going to find it a little more restrictive in terms of like where you can go. It does start out extremely railroady. We played the first sort of hour of the game, and it's like one path, you're funneled everywhere you're going, and I was like, okay, this feels pretty linear.
That's not so uncommon. That doesn't shock me as much. Like a very directed, very authored like prologue or something. That's not so kind of alien. But tell me, when you say mission based, what do you mean?
Okay, so it'll be like, okay, the mission you're doing now, you're going to, for example, like this city, and you're going to go and find this guy. You start out at the entry point, and then you can explore a slightly more limited area of the city. You can't go wherever you want, but it's not like a straight line. You can go over here and see what's happening in the marketplace. You can go over here and explore a couple of houses, but like where you're going is like that's the way.
And will I return to that city to do a different mission?
Yeah, I mean,
in a different area of the same,
Yeah, so
level?
where there is the main mission in the area, there are also side missions that you can pick up within these spaces as well. You use something called the Crossroads to go to different areas. There are things called illuviums, which I believe...
It is an elvish mirror for travelling to distant places.
It's a portal that you go through. You travel through the Fade.
The Fade, yeah. The Fade is what the Veil is dividing the real world and the Fade.
That's why it needs guarding.
Yes.
presumably.
Yes.
But yeah, I felt like in Inquisition, you know, when you go out into the open world and you're immediately bombarded with like 1,000 side quests, and they're all quite similar, and it feels a bit overwhelming. This I think felt directed in a way that I appreciated, in that I sort of knew what I was supposed to be doing all the time, which I like.
And the mission itself, am I approaching it in a single way, or is it open enough that I can, you know, do different things? Or...
I didn't really encounter any sort of like multiple ways to approach any of the missions that we played. We played like a good chunk of the game. It was
Tell me about one of your missions, because you've got footage. They let you capture.
Yeah.
So talk me through one.
Okay, so one companion quest that we had to do, for example, was for the companion Lucanus Della Morte.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the Antivan Crows.
Top contender for my new BioWare boyfriend.
Sure.
I mean, we won't know till the game comes out. But
Sure.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, we had to sort of rescue him from. He'd been imprisoned by a witch. So the idea was we had to sort of. Okay, just did you need a moment?
No.
No. Okay. So yeah, we had to go into he was trapped in this witch's sort of like realm thing. We had to go in there, fight a bunch of things, free him, and then fight our way out alongside him into back to the city that he lives in, Treviso.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this
city.
makes sense to me. I hear what you're getting at now. Obviously, it's not an immersive sim. It's go to this place, kill these particular things.
Yeah, it's like
do some dialogue.
Mass Effect, right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. You don't run around the entire planet. You go to the bit of the planet where the thing that you're doing is.
I see.
And then you do it.
Ah, yes.
So yeah,
yes.
it felt like familiar in a way that I appreciated.
Okay. To your point of, will this enrage Dragon Age fans? I mean, some, yes, obviously. I think after 10 long years since Inquisition, that there probably will be plenty of people that are hankering after the kind of expansive 100+ hour experience where you're like, I'm going to comb every inch of this enormous map.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the most accessible, welcoming experience? Maybe not.
Yeah, there's other little curated areas for you to explore, like your equivalent of the Normandy in Mass Effect is a place called the Lighthouse, which is a sort of extra dimensional castle keep floating in a sort of void with suspended staircases floating there.
Sounds really good.
It's there's a big central library, you've got your own quarters, and then each of your companions has their own room. So
you can probably choose the curtains at some point, can't you?
Probably. You can run around and check in on everyone's rooms.
Oh, that's my favourite bit.
Yeah, between
Hey,
missions.
do you have anything to say to me right now?
Well, they get a light over their door if they've got a cutscene for you. So
that's such a time saver.
Yeah.
So I won't be running in going Lucanus, do you have anything you to say? And he's
just
same thing again, Jane.
No,
I'm oh well, I'll come back when the light's on.
I'm simply performing some calibrations.
That's
yeah.
That's ingenious.
Harding?
Oh, hey, Rook. How's it going?
Funny.
Yeah, that's the quality
the talk
of life.
to me light.
Yeah, that's a real
Yeah.
time saver. And also, I think the world will change based on your decisions. I'm not allowed to talk about specifics, but they showed us a portion of the game where you make an extremely impactful decision that will affect the game's world significantly from that point onwards. And it's a sort of binary decision you have to make. You choose one side or another.
Early in the game, making a big
that's
decision.
the thing. I wasn't entirely sure
even...
at which point in the game we were at, because they
interesting.
kept jumping us to different saves. So I'm not sure, but it's properly impactful and will affect how parts of the game world are from that point onwards.
Okay.
So that's interesting as well. That's gonna your decisions will have that kind of impact.
I think maybe the game will benefit from that sort of directed, more streamlined thing. Because I'm thinking of Dragon Age Inquisition, the very first open world sort of area you were let out into.
Yeah.
Maybe not the very first, but an early open area was called the Hinterlands.
Yeah,
and it was
that's
a very
what I was
classic,
thinking.
Grassy, fantasy area. And if your instinct as a player is to I have to rinse this area, get everything out of it before I move on somewhere else, it did get kind of samey. And some of the best advice for Dragon Age Inquisition was to don't just try and finish the Hinterlands before you move on to the other areas, because you can come back to the Hinterlands if you need to, and maybe by encouraging people, like, you don't need to stay here, like, just do this mission and move on, you'll manage to keep the pace up.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it'll keep people, like, give people momentum into the rest of the game, unlike the people who, like, played Dragon Age Inquisition and kind of got a bit mired in the hinterlands, thinking, oh, this game's quite slow and too explory.
I think that was
potentially
a criticism they were keen to address with
Oh,
this one.
interesting.
So, yeah,
Okay.
we'll see if it goes down well. Right, next up is the new combat style of the game.
How's this going to PO the DA fans?
I feel like it's a lot more action heavy than it used to be.
Okay.
So you've got real-time combat, pressing buttons to sort of hit things. But then you've got like a time pause tactical menu that you can use to deploy abilities. It's, again, very similar to Mass Effect. You know how you would bring up your, like, I used to play as a Vanguard and you've got the biotic charge.
And then, yeah.
Things like that on a cooldown menu, and you can direct your companions from that menu. So you no longer take direct control of your companions. You order them around using a radial menu. And they have certain abilities. Belara, for example, she's got like a healing thing that's on a cooldown. Nev Gallus, she has a slow time ability. Another one had a taunt ability that like aggroes people towards them. So it's more about like tactically deploying your companions while also like dealing damage yourself. And there are 3 like classes to choose from. So you can be a mage, a rogue, or a warrior. So it's like casting from a distance, like bow and arrow, or like up close with a sword.
That did it.
The bell's still ringing. Let's get there.
There are like upgrade trees that you can take yourself down into various specialization, but you can refund all your upgrade points at any time and just completely respec on the fly. In case you just don't like what's going on, you don't get
like that.
trapped in. You don't like that.
Non-committal.
Oh, okay.
Commit to a school of magic, you coward.
Look at this PO'd Dragon Age fan. I knew it would happen.
Again, I can see why you would do that. It does sound way more accessible, and honestly, I would probably personally benefit from it, having made some very poor choices, like in like leveling my characters.
Yeah.
But there's something like instinctive in me that's like, you should have to suffer. You suffer your decisions. No, it's probably good. It's probably a good decision.
Yeah, I think the criticism here from people who are not into it would be that it can get a bit button mashy. It's like getting close and just hammer the attack button. But I think there is a lot of tactical layers to it if you want to play it that way. I mean, I was button mashing the most as a warrior, of course, because you go in and you hit things with a sword. But it's they switched us back and forth quite a lot, and I found mage to be like far and away the easiest way to play. I really struggled playing as a warrior there was a particular boss that we fought that I was just banging my head against, and it took like 20 minutes. But then, I reckon I could have done it in half the time with the mage.
What kind of spells did you have? Is there like a big sigil you can cast on the ground and it creates a trap, and then
there are things like that.
kite
You can
the boss through it.
What's kind of interesting as well is that the companion abilities, they synergize. So you can instruct a companion to cast a particular spell, and then on your wheel it'll tell you what other companion ability like goes with that. So you can like cast a thing, and it's like if this person casts that, it causes it to explode and do like twice as much damage.
Okay.
Ready for a follow-up.
So you need to be sort of tactically thinking about what abilities you deploy as well. So generally there's a lot of just like casting magic from a distance, but also like as you upgrade you get different ones, like area of effect things and kind of evasive stuff as well, which is interesting. You've got like a dash, you've got like a shield, and also enemies have like different enemies have like shields and stuff that you have to diminish. The mage has an incredibly useful beam that just melts shields, whereas like a warrior doesn't. You've got to take it off with a different ability for the warrior. So it does make quite a big difference, but it is just these three like these 3 schools of combat. Seems PO'd.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, new companions. Let's talk about the new companions.
Yay.
Because, I don't know, maybe people will hate them. Maybe they'll be mad there's no Alistair. Maybe they'll be mad there's no... Who else is
Are
popular?
you confirming
Ironball.
there's no Alistair? Well,
I'm not confirming. I'm just saying we've got a list of like
confirming
the
there's no
actual...
Anders.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, let's talk about them. Let's
Talk
do
about the companions.
Let's
Tell me
do
about
Smash
them.
or Pass with the new...
I'm not so easily pandered to.
All right, fine. Well, let's start off. Okay, Belara Lutare. Do you know her?
Yeah, no, I recognise her.
She is.
She's like an archer, but also a veil jumper.
She's a veil jumper, and she's like. Some of the companions have abilities they can use outside of combat. Like she's got an ability called Tinker, which you can use to like fiddle with like machinery in the world.
So if you're running around the world, you're running around with what, like 2 people?
Yes, that's the thing. So the party is now 2 people.
Plus you.
Yeah. Does that make you pretty mad, huh?
No, because I'll probably only like 2 of them anyway.
Okay, fair
No,
enough.
I'm joking.
No.
I will have 2 favourites and they will run around with me and that is fine.
Yeah, well, Belara is great. I use her a lot because she's got healing. She's a mage.
Yeah.
Found her very useful.
Yeah.
Davrin, this is the new Grey Warden.
Oh yeah, he's a Grey Warden,
Yeah.
this guy.
So he's going to be all boring and beautiful, I expect. Just like you like.
Well, there's not like a Darkspawn Blight happening, right? So like
There are
what's-
Darkspawn in it.
There's
I
Darkspawn?
fought tons of Darkspawn.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So you're going to need a Grey Warden.
So you're going to need a Grey Warden
Good for him.
around. Okay, so that's good. Then you've got Emric, who is the
He seems fun.
Vincent Price Necromancer.
He's got like a skeleton pal,
Yes, voiced by Matt Mercer, apparently.
which
this
what more
skeleton
could you
pal.
ask for? That's cool. That's fun.
He's called Manfred. He hangs around in the Lighthouse, and you can play rock paper scissors with him, which
Aw,
is
okay,
which is
adorable.
fun.
I can
So,
I can see him being a
we like
big
Emric.
hit.
Scout Harding is in it. She was in
Yay.
Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
But not romanceable.
We love her. Not
So-
really romanceable. They
No.
sort of.
You could flirt, but
Yeah. There's some DLC that implies maybe you went out on a date between between the game and the DLC, which is
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nothing. She's cool. So
yeah.
dare.
So she's in it. She's a romanceable companion now.
Yeah.
That's good.
she's very charming, very endearing. So that's nice.
Lucanus Delamorte. He is the Dragon Age Ezio. Basically, he's part of an assassin.
The Antivan Crows.
Family, the Antivan Crows.
Right? The assassins.
Yeah, they're all like a sort of mafia family, basically.
They're like, yeah, sexy assassins.
Sexy assassins. So that's cool. He seems like a cool character. So I think he might be a fan favorite. Then we've got Nev Gallus. Now this would be my pick for the mage that will betray you, because there's always one.
Yes, we were talking about this.
Yeah.
Like the grand tradition of Dragon Age games is there is a mage, or a magic person who is going to betray the heck out of you in the final act.
So maybe Nev.
Maybe Nev.
Maybe Nev Gallus.
Maybe just Solus again.
Yeah. And then when he just comes, I mean,
Just comes back
he
and
starts the game
betrays
trying to
you
like
again.
destroy the world.
Yeah,
so-
but who maybe I don't know. He'll find a way. Solus will find a way. Yeah.
And then we have Tash, who is a Kunari.
Yeah.
And she's like scratches the same itch that Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3 does, which
A
is
big
like
fighty
jacked up.
dragon puncher.
Yeah, that's so that's the party. I think like for me, this game really shines in the character interactions. It's that kind of indefinable BioWare magic, which is just like we're gonna go through some stuff, but we're all in it together, and we all like hanging out, and we're all buddies. And that was really hitting in like the bits that I was playing. I was like, I like all of these people. I didn't get to play with everyone. I got to see about half the characters like actually in my party. But yeah, the party banter was great. They've got a thing now where it's like resumable party banter. So if like people are chatting and then you get attacked, like they pick it up after the.
So anyway.
Yeah, but it's not like, oh, if I want to hear all of this dialogue, I have to stand still. And then we can go through
Yeah, it's
the
like
door.
wrap it up, Lucanus, and
Yeah.
then we can go fight this thing. You're
It's
like,
like, we're gonna-
hold that thought,
yeah,
Lucanus.
We will pick that up in a second
I
once
want to
we've
hear your anecdote.
defeated this troll. or
That's
whatever.
fun. I like that. That's cute.
So we take it and we're good, right? We can head back.
Oh, I wish. No, it's a lot trickier than that.
And you get like specific notes on screen of like what you're doing and like the effect it's having. So like at the start you're talking to Solus in the cutscene, and I was choosing like all the antagonistic stuff, and he's like getting riled up, and then you get a little pop up on screen. It's like you have exchanged verbal barbs with Solus.
Helpful advice from the elven god of, and I am quoting you here, lies, treachery, and rebellion, depending on the story.
Elganan and Gillenane are your problem to solve.
And so it's like, oh, you're tracking that, are you?
Okay, so rather than just Solus will remember that, it's like
you and
you've
him
had a row with Solus.
Basically.
Interesting.
And it's like, you get the approves, disapproves stuff when you do things. So I think it seems like it's tracking enough stuff and regularly enough that it's going to like make an actual noticeable difference as you go.
Okay.
Which is cool and interesting. I did try some of the romance dialogue options.
Tell me, what's the chat up lines like? How much game does Rook have?
Well, it was like early game stuff, so it was more like just being nice to people.
I know we've just met, but
yeah, I know we've just met,
hey.
but
yeah,
like I don't hate you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There was one with Scout Harding where it seemed kind of patronizing. She was like busy working away on something, and Rook's like, "You're adorable."
You're not hearing a word I'm saying, are you?
Uh-huh.
You know you're adorable, right?
Sure, whatever you think is best.
I think maybe it was because the character I was playing as at that point was Kunari, and she's a dwarf. So it's like this hulking dude being like, "Oh, you're adorable." I was like, "This is a little comes off as a bit weird."
What did Scout Harding say?
She was just carried on being distracted, and then was like, "Oh, are you making fun of me?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's adorable."
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, this is."
Not sure about
I don't
that.
know how I feel about this.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, there's like in the first mission, you get a sort of choice of who to join you on this mission, either Harding or Nev, and then whoever goes with you basically gets like roughed up, and then in the next hour of gameplay, they're all like bruised up in all the cutscenes. So you've got like visual indicators of this stuff as well, which is which is cool and interesting.
But you were saying off camera that you aren't spattered with blood all the time anymore.
No, that was like
gone
Jane's
in the
first thing.
past.
She was like, the thing you need to like check and get capture
Blood
of is
spatter.
everyone covered in blood all the time.
All the time.
Maybe there's a setting and they just like turned it off for the preview, but there was no blood. And there was no one was covered in gore during a cutscene.
I think it would be understandable if that particular like idiosyncrasy of Dragon Age, which is go to the cutscene, everyone's covered in blood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that has been
that's still-
phased out.
Okay,
Yeah.
or it is maybe in there but behind a toggle or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, and finally, I want to talk about the art style. So when this game, Dragon Age the Veilguard, was first revealed in the trailer, I think a lot of Dragon Age fans were disappointed with the art style. They thought it was a bit stripped back, a bit like caricature-y, a bit too simple.
I know the trailer you mean, the Companions trailer.
Yeah, it's I would say it's a simplified art style, but I don't think it's simplistic. Everyone looked like people to me. They didn't look like cartoons.
It's kind of like a heightened, stylized art style, but I also don't think that's fully representative of the game itself from what I've seen of actual gameplay versus that trailer.
Yeah, environmentally.
And versus later trailers.
Right.
Not quite the
Environmentally,
same.
it's very realistic. It's an art style. It's a representation of things. And what I will say is that all the characters in the game are obviously made using the same character creator you use to create Rook, your character, and it is one of the more impressive character creators that I've seen. The hair in particular is super impressive. Like the way that hair like falls, nothing clips through anything. It moves like hair moves. I think like everyone there was, you go up to get a cup of coffee and go back to your station, and people are like, "Oh, the hair is really good." I'm like, yeah.
I remember there was a gameplay demo that came out of Summer Game Fest this summer, and yeah, that was one of the notable things. Like Dragon Age, not traditionally well known for its like beautiful flowing tresses that are accurate, and the hair did look really good. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because photorealism is sort of the unspoken, assumed
end
goal for all video game graphics, in some people's eyes, I think. And so when you make a choice to have a specific art style, for some that's like, well, it's a cop-out. Rather than just going for photorealism, you're doing something that looks, I don't know, stylized or cartoony, or I don't think it looks cartoony, but
it reminded me of something like Dishonored, where it's got a strong art direction, and it's like taken from a particular art style. It's a conscious choice.
But like I say, I don't think that stylization is as major in the game itself as it appeared to be in that first trailer, which is why that first trailer was like a choice, capital C choice.
Yeah.
and I think maybe a little bit misrepresentative.
What I will say is that the Kunari look a bit weird now.
My memory may be slightly off, but I feel like the Kunari have been revised like more than once. This is like a race of very large people with like horns, and
the thing is now I think like the forehead just feels weird, and if you try and create a Kunari character in the character creator and put any kind of hairstyle on them, like you can't really, but they'll just get a weird sort of like balding tuft of whatever in the middle.
Okay.
And they just are all forehead. Like
too much forehead.
They gave us a Kunari character to play as one of the sort of like pre-made ones, and
Yeah.
I was watching cutscenes and it was just I could not stop staring at the forehead. It was just
That's unfortunate.
right there.
Okay, so
huge
if you're like
foreheads.
a big Kunari
Yeah.
fan, you've been longing to play as a Kunari, and this
And
is
now
what
it's
you
just
get.
like forehead folk.
Yeah. Okay.
But apart from that, from
Yeah.
the Kunari stuff, I thought the art style was great. It didn't register to me as like anything other than like a good-looking video game. I wasn't like, oh, this is off-putting. It was.
I mean, also when you choose a particular distinctive like art style, you can choose something that is more flattering to your technology, or flattering, to the kind of game you want to make. Something that's photorealistic will inevitably fall down on something or the
Yeah.
other, and will not achieve that photorealism. Is it better to choose something that you can, like have greater success with, despite not like kidding someone into thinking it's real?
Yeah.
Sidebar though, is it weirder to want to romance a cartoony? I know they're not cartoony looking characters, but just stay with me for argument's sake. Is
Yeah.
it weirder to want to romance a cartoon looking character than a photoreal looking character?
No.
Okay, then fine. I have no further questions.
There is a photo mode as well, so if you want to take like nice pics of your
I love a photo mode.
of your crush in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Photo modes are good. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
photo modes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I think the art style's basically fine. I don't know what everyone's worried about. Stop being PO'd.
How did demon this large get through the veil?
It's a pride demon. Damn thing probably sensed Solus's ego.
So that was Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which I played and enjoyed, and is coming out on the 31st of October. It's coming out on Halloween.
Halloween?
I know. Can you believe it? It's amazing.
Amazing. It's so soon.
I know.
I've sort of been in a perpetual state of Dragon Age, like 4 is never ever coming out.
And yet it is on Halloween. So as a long-time Dragon Age fan, where are you at now with Dragon Age: The Veilguard? How are you feeling about it?
I'm curious. I'm intrigued. I want to know what's going on. I mean, obviously the story, but also like the way you describe the differences. I want to get in there and figure that out.
Find out what's going
Experience it for myself.
on.
Yeah.
Find out what's going on with Varric as well. I can't tell
Varric.
you.
We didn't even talk about Varric. Have you?
Well-
Your lips have been sealed.
Can't tell you.
Okay.
Can't tell you what happens.
Oh.
But let's just
All
say
silence.
no, that's not.
That's an NDA breaking.
I can't tell you what
throat
happens.
slit,
That's
I'm
a joke.
pretty
That was a
sure.
joke.
That was a joke. So
Yeah.
you've been instructed not to,
I've been instructed not to say
Talk
anything
about Varric.
Varric's fate. So,
or whether you can smooch him.
or you can't even say the word fate. Who's to say what's going on?
Okay. All right.
So
Dragon
yeah.
Age Veilguard. The
Dragon
Veilguard.
Age: The Veilguard is coming out on Halloween. If you are excited for the game, do let us know in the comments what you're looking forward to. If you're a Dragon Age fan who's been PO'd by this, tell us in the PO box below what's PDO. And we will see you next time. If you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe, and maybe even check out the OX Supporters Club at patreon.com/OX Club to help us keep making more of the stuff you love. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.